Well, today we have with us a very special and amazing guest. Her name is Asja Dupanovic, and I met her in Bosnia, right outside Ravne Tunnel one day. I was working as a videographer, and I just put my camera in her face and said, "Hello, what do you think about the Bosnian pyramids?" And she just smiled and talked, and we made a wonderful video. Hello.
Hello.
Are you tourists?
Sort of. We're pretty much locals.
Oh, you're locals?
Sarajevo.
Oh, cool. I've been to Sarajevo, and many people that I talk to say that the pyramids do not exist.
Oh, wow. We are one of those that definitely believe that they are here and really, really happily embrace the fact that they are.
And what did you say, the last thing you said?
That we embrace happily that they do exist here. We come from a yoga school that has a really good communication with the foundation, and we know a lot about pyramids and understand a lot about them. So for us, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Have you been in Ravne Tunnel?
Yes, twice before, 5 years ago and last year.
What did you think?
What did I think? I was pretty much amazed. I was pretty much amazed by everything that we learned that exists inside. Different facts, like that there's more oxygen inside than outside. Everything we learned about water. I mean, all the tunnels that we've seen. It's pretty, isn't it just fascinating? It's quite, actually not even fascinating. It's quite mind-blowing what you find inside.
And the fact that it was buried. Somebody came along and buried it later on. It's kind
That's
of
very interesting.
It's so interesting.
That's very interesting. That, I mean, you can see that it was done systematically at one point. It was done definitely systematically because all the tunnels are closed and buried, if that's the right word to use, with the same material and in the same way. Someone definitely wanted to hide it from the rest of the world.
This is the loose sand and river stones that were used 4,600 years ago to fill in the tunnel, and when no one knows why, but we do know that the water channels were left open for some reason, and that means that approximately 90% of the tunnel was filled to the brim, and then the water channels were completely left alone, except for their entranceways being walled off with 1 or 2 or 3 dry walls, in between which was 1 or 2 or 3 meters of this loose sand and river stones. But when you take out those dry walls and the meters of fill-in material, then you find the water channels open. And this is shocking, astonishing.
This water is alive energetically, it's beautiful, because it has been exposed to the best electromagnetism, ultrasound frequency, good for the levitation, the Schumann resonance, negative ions, all the good stuff. And that's why this water is a good water.
Because first of all, why would a culture 4,600 years ago fill in these prehistoric tunnels? And second of all, why would they not fill in the water channels? So we have that mystery, that continuing series of mysteries here in the Bosnian Pyramid Complex.
And this water being so healthy, what do you think about that?
Amazing.
That's really amazing. And we collect the water and we drink this water. It is cleaner than, I mean, being buried for God knows how long. It's cleaner than any water that we have in the country. Wow.
And more healthy than almost any water that's been tested. There was a volunteer named Josh that came here this summer, and he tested some water around the valley and in a scientific lab, and it's got the highest Bovis rating of any water that he's ever tested.
Yeah.
Even Lourdes and everything,
Wow.
you know, so it's incredible.
This water has been here for thousands of years. What you would expect from the water thousands of years old is that it's dirty, full of microbes. We took samples, sent them to the lab in Zenica. It's called Institute for Public Health. They did microbiological and chemical analysis. Their conclusion, the water was drinkable, healthy, no microbes. How is it possible? The high concentration of negative ions act as a barrier for the microbes.
And the level of negative ions inside, I just believe it's mind-blowing, and it's so fantastic that we know about it and that someone discovered it and that we are able to visit it and well, maybe use it in this lifetime. But there are really strong forces that are trying to keep this away from people, precisely because it's so beneficial. So the more of us that we talk about it and the more of us that we tell other people, the better it is.
Have you brought your friends up here, or do they still think you're crazy about talking about pyramids in Visoko?
Oh, well, interestingly, I talk about it with people who are from the yoga school, and our yoga school is one of the biggest in the world. We have over 40,000 students. Everybody from the school understands and knows so much about it. We've been here last year. We've been with Dr. Osmanagic and the first group of volunteers, and on several other occasions we visited the sites together with him. So we know the facts from the first hand. I don't really know what my friends outside this circle think about it, but I don't hear them talking about it. I don't hear them. I don't see them coming here.
But the yoga people come, or they believe.
No, I mean we know so much about the pyramids. There's so much talk about the pyramid, not only these pyramids, but the power of pyramids altogether and why ever were they built. I mean, what people around here know about the pyramids is what we learned from our school books. You know, in school, everybody knows that they existed in Egypt, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, that's how Semir begins his talks around the world. He says people say there's pyramids in Egypt and Mexico, and then that's it. But
and do you know what the authorities in Bosnia told him when he approached them first time?
What did they say?
They said, well, we didn't have any pharaohs living here ever, so there cannot be any pyramids in Bosnia.
Right, because the orthodoxy thinks that pyramids were tombs for kings.
Oh yes, they were tombs. They were so much more, and it is really unfortunate. I mean, maybe the reason why other people don't know about it is because there's not a lot of talk about it on TV, or you won't hear that. Yeah, I guess maybe the national TV is not allowed to talk about it.
In Bosnia?
Yeah, I don't know. That would be interesting to know.
It would be interesting to find out.
Our guide wants to take us in.
Okay, what's your name?
My name is Asja.
And you have a yoga studio in Sarajevo?
No, I'm a yoga student from Bosnia, yes.
Oh, you're a yoga student, okay.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, drago mi je.
I'm taking my daughter for the first time.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
No, she's second time. She was a baby.
Oh, she was a baby. Yeah, that's right.
First time.
Imamo sve namirnice.
She has the negative ions in her from the first time she went, maybe. And here we are, I think it's about 10 years later.
10 years later, yeah.
So 10 years more wisdom and more learning and more incredible experiences in your life. And I just wanted to get you on the show to see if you had any ideas for humanity as we transition to the new Earth. So Asja, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yay.
I'm excited. Yay! I'm excited.
Now, you didn't have a whole lot of time. You've got to wash your dog and all these things, and you've got to
Walk my dog. Walk, wash, dry.
walk, wash, and dry your dog. Okay. Now, you are in Sarajevo, right?
The capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Exactly.
We need that geography lesson in America. You have a special relationship to India. Can you tell us about that?
must be part of my karma in some way, because else I would not ever end up living there and giving birth to my one and only daughter exactly on those grounds. I was very fortunate to have my family live in New Delhi for a couple of years. And it was a very eye-opening experience for me. I really, really enjoyed that time. Really, really, I was just so fascinated by this peace and the tranquility that you could find just under the surface. So you could just, I mean, it's such an amazing place. You can stand in the middle of a totally crazy crossroad with all the trucks and cars and rickshaws and cows and motorbikes and everything, and everyone horning at the same time, and yet hear complete silence. Complete silence. I mean, honestly, it either works for you or not. People either, what I learned so far, people either love India, I mean, like love India and feel at home there, or absolutely hate it. I was very happy several times to have some friends come over, and they were excited about India, and then they flew back home in like 2 days or 3 days maximum. They just couldn't stand it. I mean, it's either the frequency that you can't stand, or I don't know. I mean, people were, let's say, annoyed by the noise, annoyed by the dirt. I didn't see any of that. Last year, I went to India after 14 years. So that was the first time I went after having lived there. And as I walked out of the airport and smelled the air, I was like, home, completely home. I mean, as I say, you either love it or, you can't stand it. There's just something about it, I don't know. Either fits into your picture or it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm one of those who love it. It's a completely different experience traveling through India, just being a tourist, and living there, of course. It
Right.
can be very stressful. It can be very stressful. The whole logic of living is completely different than what we're used to in other parts of the world. But you either love it or you can't stand it. Yeah, it's very simple.
You took a beautiful trip to Mount Kailash. Can you tell us about that? Can you tell us about what happened directly before your trip?
So there was a very strong calling, and from what I know, you are either called to visit Kailash and invited, or it just doesn't happen. Apparently, no one who has not been invited can even reach the place. So many people want to go there, but it doesn't happen for them. And for me, I don't know. It was just something that was. I set an intention. I felt a strong calling. I set an intention. I immediately, in the next moment, told myself that I was completely crazy because I have some physical challenges which I thought were not fit for such a journey.
You have
But I
knee,
surrendered.
you have a knee that hurts sometimes.
Also, but in even though I spent half of my life in professional sports, I can't do any sport now. Something happened with my legs, and I feel very unstable on my legs, and I can't walk, especially not climb or do any hiking or mountaineering. So there was this crazy person thinking that I'm gonna go to the crown chakra of planet Earth, but so after telling myself that I was crazy, I just decided to surrender this intention, to surrender it to spiritual masters, and if it was meant to be, it's going to happen. I planned actually initially to go in 2026 because that's a special year. To go one circumambulation, is that the word, of Kailash in 2026, it counts as 12 of them. So after you do 12, you are eligible to go inside, I mean, to go into what is called the inner Kora and actually be able to touch Kailash. And before you do 12 rounds around the mountain, you are not eligible for such a thing. So I thought, 2026, that sounds smart, right? And then I heard someone say that such a trip, such an important pilgrimage, should never be postponed because you never know. It is said that if in this moment you are healthy enough, you have time, you have the means, you have no argument, and there's no waiting. So when I heard this, I thought to myself, I'm healthy enough for sure. I have the means, I have time, and I don't want to wait. So I decided to apply, and interesting things started happening. It's a very expensive trip, and I started saving money for it. But no matter how much I saved, I used to get very strange bills that I had to pay, like some taxes or something like that. And one day, even my whole bank account was completely emptied by some hackers. The night before the night before the deadline to pay. It's exactly the day when I collected all the money. I got my salary that day, and in the afternoon, I tried to pay, but for some reason the payment was declined. And during that night, little by little, the whole bank account was empty, and the whole amount was just, it just disappeared. And I just laughed because it's such a, if you are on a spiritual path, you really have to be in tremendous, well, actually, I'd say in complete acceptance. There is no, what's the opposite word? No resistance. Like whatever you resist, it will just persist.
Yeah.
I set my intention. I surrendered everything to the masters. And whatever would have happened, I would have welcomed it with full acceptance. Because, if you're supposed to go to such pilgrimage, you'll go.
Yeah.
If you're not supposed to go, no matter what you do, and if you had all the money in the world, it will not happen. So it's also a sort of a trip that you are not allowed to make unless you are fully clean, in the sense of you should never be owing anything to someone and things like that. Whatever it doesn't have to be, in money. If I promised something to you and I didn't fulfill it, I'll not be accepted by, the masters to reach such a place and things like that. So I really made sure I paid out, all the bills that came. I was just like, yeah, just keep on coming, keep on. No, it doesn't matter. Money will appear. And money really did magically appear. In maybe 3 months, I gathered all the money. And when it all disappeared, I just asked, it's not allowed to go with any debt, but I asked whether my brother can lend me the money. And I lent the money from my brother and paid immediately. So yeah, I was ready to go.
It's a beautiful thing that you were able to know that your intention was pure enough and strong enough and true enough that you would allow yourself or urge yourself and make sure that you went to allow yourself to go when you had no money. You knew your own intention, you knew yourself. So this is really, really important. This is really great, because I feel like this is one of the problems in the world, is that we don't know our own selves.
Oh, yeah. Too many people are too disconnected from their true nature. And I mean, that cannot end well. That really cannot end well. Not personally and not collectively for all of us. We are so far away from understanding the purity of the nature
Yeah.
of humankind, yeah, and our own potential. I really do believe that we are multi-dimensional beings, that we are unimaginably powerful, but we completely forgot about it. And yeah, we live in what they call Maya, a complete illusion. It's a complete illusion. We're living our identities. We're just projecting our identities. And I am, however, not being negative. You know, every day some new people realize the truth. You know, little by little by little, the number of us who understood at least the basics of it is growing day by day. So I remember our conversation the day we met, you know, about the pyramids. Of course, we commented on how we were all taught in school that they are tombstones, and you know that they, yeah, this is just for a grave of some pharaoh. And it was really funny when Dr. Semin Osmanagic, who discovered the Bosnian pyramids, had his first meeting with the local authorities. I mean, the authorities in the historical and archaeological sense. I don't remember the exact positions of those people. They just told him no pharaohs ever lived on the grounds of Bosnia. We cannot have any pyramids here. And voila, we end up discovering the biggest pyramid on the planet. You know, so it's taken generations and generations of lies, right? An illusion for people for humankind to really fall for it, right? We grew up in all kinds of lies, and I find it today it's much easier to what's the word? I can't remember the word. It's not cheat, but let's say it's easier to cheat on you than to convince you that you're being cheated on. You're being fooled. It's easier to fool you than convince you as a human today that you're being fooled and that someone is making such a fool out of you. People are just blind and deaf and everything.
Well, that's why this podcast came about, because in January I thought I want to start a little podcast that will just have little, I'm not going to advertise it. It's just going to have wisdom from certain people that I know who can help humanity bridge the gap between where we are now in the matrix. We're still in the matrix, we're climbing out, but and the new world where we understand we're part of a galactic family, that we're sovereigns on the earth, that we know who we are, we understand our power. Now, when we met, it was in front of Ravne Tunnel, and that's a mecca for people to come and exchange information. And I learned a lot in Bosnia, and that was where my awakening was, because I didn't even believe in ETs, anything, until I came to Bosnia, started getting downloads from people. And so you're talking about the different energetic, I think you mentioned the energetic body or the spiritual bodies that we have. And Semir Osmanagic, to discover the pyramids there in Bosnia, also mentions these. There was a Maya elder who came out and talks about the different spiritual bodies that we have. So we're not just this flesh this flesh and bone package. So what sort of things have you learned when you go to Ravne Tunnel? You talk to people outside there, and that's a meeting ground for a lot of amazing folks. And so, what kind of things have you learned there in front of Ravne Tunnel in Bosnia?
Well, in front and inside the tunnel, I've, of course, in so many years, I've been going there from time before I met you, and these past 10 years, there's always something new. I'm sure I still don't know so many things that Samir has introduced there in the park. He's built this huge park with all kinds of installations, and I've met people from all walks of life and from all of people with different interests. And whenever you ask them, why, what did they come to discover there, I was very happy when someone said, I came to find out more about myself. It's not only about the history of humankind and the history of people trying to put pieces of information together, being so surprised at what they hear there. They actually realize that different civilizations have lived on this earth, and not only from this earth, but also from other systems, and that these pyramids were practically enabling different beings to communicate in between themselves. And this makes people ask new questions. At least it makes them ask questions that they didn't ask before, and it's very interesting to have these conversations. Lately I've been going in quite a big silence there. I don't remember when I actually stood and talked to someone. It's just my place to switch off.
Inside the tunnel.
Yeah, inside the tunnel there's now a rock. Probably this rock was there before, but now it's called Mohanji's rock. This is a spiritual master that I met several years ago, and he comes to Visoko every year to a pilgrimage. There are 4 places that he takes people to an annual pilgrimage. These are Kailash, then the Bosnian Pyramids, Machu Picchu, and Sedona. These are the 4, he claims, energetically most powerful spots on our planet and most powerful energy portals on our planet. So I met him there. I heard about him through a friend and connected to him. And there is a spot inside the tunnels that he claims is the most powerful of all. And now it's called Mohanji's Rock. So I like to go there and sit for some time and just close my eyes and meditate and just peace and quiet. It's very peaceful because it's not on the touristic path. It's just in one of the side tunnels that you can walk through. So I really enjoy this. I really enjoy spending some quiet time there. As I said, Samir is introducing something all the time, and I guess people who would be interested about, what all is going on there in terms of scientific research and different measurements made can definitely visit the website of the Pyramid of the Sun, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation, and read all the news there, because he not only spends a lot of time in Visoko, but also travels around the world talking about the valley of the Bosnian Pyramids. So there's so much information about it now. It's so much more than when we met and before we met. Little by little, more and more is being discovered. the tunnels, you know, that they are being dug out, or this material is constantly being brought out. So new tunnels are open all the time. The team has still not reached the very pyramid, but they're getting closer. And I'm very excited. I just wonder, in my lifetime, will I be able to enter the pyramid? That would be very exciting, because actually, as you know, the more you approach the pyramid, the closer you are, the more powerful, the stronger is the cleansing that you're going through, because of all the whole frequency of the place. And the idea is that before you are able to use this powerful communication machine, you have to be completely cleansed and your frequency changed. So I'm very excited about the future, about what the future holds, about this whole valley and these amazing structures. Yeah.
Well, you're just about 25 minutes away by car and there in Sarajevo, right? So you can just take a quick trip up to the tunnels and get in there and meditate. Now, a lot of people do just meditate in there. They're not there to check out the megaliths, or what are now known as the ceramic sculptures. But there's so much in that tunnel. There's the highest negative ion count, except for the biggest waterfalls on the earth. That's the highest inside that tunnel, which only has one entrance. There's no exit. The entrance is the exit. So you would expect there to be less and less oxygen and less and less anything. They're just dead air at the back of the tunnel, but it's the most alive, living, vibrant air, full of negative ions, which are really good for us, full of oxygen. And it's this ancient system that they built with a tunnel, with a roof, ceiling that undulated. So the pressure, so that there's the high pressure and the low pressure, and that sucks in the air from outside, and the negative ions from the wet clay and the pebbles come in and rejuvenate the air. And it's really, really health giving for people, just if you just did that. And then if you're also meditating, and connecting with whatever you want to connect with, yourself, and then maybe other things too. Wow. I always wanted to take a camera in there at night and sleep in there and just have the camera running the entire night, just to see if there was anybody walking around in there. Anybody meaning something, spirits.
Yeah.
Spirits
I
being.
always love listening to you talking about it. It's just this fascinating place, and you are such a good storyteller about it. I agree about this natural ventilation system. Honestly, the air is better than, of course, the air is better than not only outside, but on top of a mountain. The air inside, under the ground, is better quality than in so many places on the planet. And the water discovered there has been tested, we know, you and I, all around the world. Now it's sold in little bottles, so you can buy the bottle and mix it with your, regular tap water or bottled water, whatever, and you can drink it. No matter how much water they take from inside, the level just rises up again, and it seems like a never-ending source of water. Right. And so, people are coming to meditate, but they're also coming to heal, because the healing power of everything that is inside the tunnels is just tremendous. And there's a YouTube channel where people constantly, testimonials of people are being posted all the time. And people are tested before they go inside and after they come outside. And I've seen it countless times on myself. I was even experimenting. I would go there when I was really feeling unwell. And after 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes, I would come out like I just slept for 10 hours. I don't need anyone to convince me. I felt it on myself. And I started having some eyesight problem. I stopped being able to see very far, and I would really hardly drive myself to Visoko, but I really wanted to see what happens. And I would go inside the tunnels and come out, and I could see the details of the branches of the trees as far as the eye can see. Can you imagine after like 20-25 minutes? It's like someone just blew through all your pipes.
Well, yeah, there was this testimonial by a woman speaking in Bosnian about how her hearing came back. She'd been wearing a hearing aid, and she kept saying, "Thank the gods, thank the gods." You know, everybody just loves Semir because he's the guy that initiated this excavation project of this incredible labyrinth of tunnels that were, for some reason, plugged by an unknown culture 4,600 years ago with this fill-in material, this loose sand and river stones. And he's excavating this heavy material with wheelbarrows and shovels, with his incredible crew of 30 or so people and volunteers that come throughout the summer. And so they're making this healing tunnel available to the Bosnians, to all the tourists who come. And it's got an incredible, there's so many testimonials of healing from that tunnel in different ways. Somebody's back got better, their knee got better, and Michael Tellinger went in there, and he's on video, in the middle of the video that we're making. He says, "My knee doesn't hurt anymore. It always hurts."
Yeah.
Just in the middle of the video. So yeah, it's an incredible place. I highly recommend that people go there. It's always open. It opens at 8 in the morning. I didn't know we were going to be talking that much about Bosnia, but I guess we did, and I'm glad we did.
It was not in our plans, but it was probably meant to be.
Yeah, I was going to call this video Mount Kailash because I thought it was going to be all about Mount Kailash and your spiritual journey and how you go to India and feed people and you're handing them bowls of food that might be their only meal that day. But it turned out that we talked about Ravne Tunnel, and that's awesome.
Yeah, ask me more about Kailash. What do you find would be interesting for people to know?
Well, maybe some people don't know that there's a myth in India that people, or the gods, really, beings that they call the gods, live inside this mountain.
That's true, and it's also considered to be a pyramid.
Considered by alternate history or alternate archaeology researchers, you mean, or by who?
I don't know it, but I know that it is considered to be a pyramid as well. We can find out. We
Okay,
can
okay.
probably Google that. Try to do some research on it. I can't really point out who said that,
Okay,
but
because
it's considered to be a pyramid.
I just wanted to make sure that people knew that, see, academia basically blocks out anything that's cool and nice and new and
Of
real.
course,
They're just like, no, we're just going to talk about fairy tales in academia and call it science. But the real science is being done by people like Semir Osmanagic and the people who are looking at the world in different ways, and they might see Mount Kailash and go, that looks like a built structure. I mean, that's what it looks like to me, you know. So I'm totally on board with this idea that it was created for a purpose, maybe an energetic purpose, and maybe as a home for what we would call the gods, but maybe they're just people who are not quite like us and they're more advanced than us. So in the past, they were thought of as gods because they had abilities that we don't have because of their technology.
Yeah, could be.
Well, you've been on the spiritual journey for so long. You've also gone into reflexology. You've been doing reflexology for a long time. Do you offer that to people locally there in Sarajevo?
Yeah, yeah. However, lately I've discovered that I enjoy much more talking about it and teaching people how to use this ancient knowledge than doing one-on-one treatments. It just that doesn't, it fulfills me, but it's not enough. I feel like it's not enough. And I would find different institutions and just ask them if I can come and hold a workshop. And I talk about these things completely for free. I really enjoy telling people about this ancient knowledge and teaching them how to use it, which I can practically do, in an hour, and people are just blown away by the power of our own body. Having some magical buttons in different zones that are able to give a nudge and give a push to this amazing mechanism that our own body has to heal and regenerate itself. The body is doing this the whole time, but there are buttons that you can press to really support this mechanism. And it's, that I've been very passionate about it, and I've been also blown away with it. When I found out about it, I was like, how come we don't learn in school about this? How come all the media is not talking about it? Well, it took me time to understand that those who are supposed to heal us have not been focused on healing us for God knows how long. And there are those who are not interested in us being healthy, right? So not, you being able to press some points by yourself and make yourself feel better instead of going to some doctor and buying some pills is not, doesn't generate profit. So yeah, that's why there's so little talk about this kinds of ancient knowledge. But I'm so confident that this is the future. It will come back, and as I said before, and every day more and more people are just discovering the truth, and they're finding out about it. So I love to talk about it, and unless you stop me, we will end up talking for an hour and a half about reflexology. Or natural. So I vote for everything that is natural and non-invasive.
And these magic buttons you're talking about are, let's say they could be on the hands or on the bottom of the feet, or maybe on the face.
On our earlobes, on the face.
Yeah.
Earlobes, face. These four are most known. So by stimulating or massaging every millimeter of, for example, your earlobe, but you have to take into account both, because this includes points for everything that you find in the left side of the body, points for everything that exists in the right side of the body. So you can just take these 3 fingers and do some kneading like this, just push, press, go millimeter by millimeter. And this will stimulate this natural healing mechanism that the body has working for us with every breath that we take. It's so amazing. And you can make yourself feel better, or a loved one feel better, in a matter of minutes.
Right, that's fantastic. So do you want to give us some links about how people can find you if they want to get a workshop from you, or if they want to get a treatment or something like that?
Oh, actually, that's a good idea. Well, treatment not, of course, if you're living in the States or somewhere, but I have seen that holding a workshop online works just as well as being, in the same room together. So it works beautifully. I'm very happy whomever wants to organize a group of people just to tell them about this knowledge.
So you could do like a Zoom conference call or a Skype conference call?
Yeah. Why not? That's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
I need, let's say, an hour and a half with people to empower them in a way that they would be able to use this knowledge right away, and have it in their 10 fingers.
great. Well, it's been lovely talking to you. I know your dog is wondering why you haven't taken him for a walk yet. And who is this?
I think sorry to interrupt you, but I think the dog gave up. The dog is just sleeping behind me.
Oh,
She
good.
came at one point trying to climb on and, give me a nudge and say, hey, are we not supposed to be walking now? But I think she gave up probably because she understands that there is a higher purpose to this conversation.
Right. Well, I think dogs have really good telepathy, and we're still working on that as humans. But let's see. What advice do you have for people who wonder where to put their focus as we switch from the matrix, where we're basically slaves, we're wage slaves to the bankers, to a new way of living where we're not paying rent to live on our own planet, and we understand that we're sovereigns and we understand that we're part of a galactic family. So where do we put our focus as we make that transition?
I would put our focus on contributing by following the path of nonviolence in words, in thoughts, in actions. Absolutely selfless service, especially feeding the hungry. This is supposed to be cleansing us, and not only us as individuals, but the whole ancestral, all our ancestors, the whole ancestral line behind you. Finding ways on how we can, I really loved how Mahanji put it, make humankind into kind humans. Just raising the awareness of generations. This is what he has focused on, and I really like the some of the principles that he put out there, such as bringing back kindness and righteousness on earth. Let's focus on higher values, the highest, the highest values of humankind: love, kindness, non-violence, righteousness, compassion. Let's focus on that. I do not think that we should be focusing on the negative happening around us. Let's not participate on it. Let's just keep our focus on what is good. In that way, I believe the good will grow. Does that make sense?
Dan po dan, stepenica po stepenica, we go
Step
toward the
by
goal.
step. Yeah, step by step, and we will reach the heart of the pyramid at some point. Right?
I like it.
No, honestly, does that sound good? Let's just focus on the good. Let's not lose our energy on, oh, but this war is happening here and that war is happening here. And can we use this precious time that we have here for constructive action?
Right.
Towards good? Can we generate more good on the planet? Can we treat other species as equals? Because if I understand it correctly, we all have the same right to live on this planet, don't we? Right? Let's focus on nurturing motherhood, mothers of all species. Let us try at least to pay back our debt towards Mother Earth for using its resources. Let us try not to waste anything. Let us try to be mindful about so many things. And of course, never stop connecting to what your true nature is. Let us find more ways to how to do that and become stronger and more powerful, so that we can do more good things in the world. Does that make sense? Being awfully silent.
Can we hear our inner self? Can we tune into our inner self? Is there a voice in there that we can listen to?
Of course, but we don't hear it from all the noise going through our head. So we need to find silence. I think silence, we need to conquer our minds and reach the point of silence. It is only in that point that I believe we will hear the higher self talking to us. I think that that there's all of the knowledge and all of the wisdom is inside already. I think we came here programmed, already. I mean, programmed, quote unquote. But there's this whole wisdom about who we are and what we need to do, what's our purpose. So many people are, desperately trying to find their purpose. Surely you've heard so many people talk about it, like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? And then they're losing half of their lives is looking for a purpose. How about the basics? How about we start at the basics, being kind humans? I think even one value, if you focus on it, one, whether it be compassion, whether it be non-violence, whether it be unconditional love, focus on one, and so much of positive energy will be generated.
And even if we focus on being compassionate to one person that we saw that day, that we might not have felt compassion for one reason or another. Maybe they weren't clean. Maybe they're wearing clothing that sets them apart from the rest of the society. And we want to walk past them. But if we just take time to feel compassion for that one person, that's increasing the good of the world. You don't have to feel compassionate for every single person on the planet. You don't have to love every single person on the planet. It's not our job to feed every person on the planet. You fed certain people in a little village, I guess, in India. You couldn't feed them all. So you did what you could do on that day, and on the next day, and on the next day, you did what you could do. And that's all we can do. We can't take on the whole world. So I think what's good, what you're saying is that even if we just bring it down to one thing, kindness, compassion for one person today, and then maybe we can have compassion for another person too. Well, maybe if we have it in us, and maybe, and that's okay. It's okay. It's okay to know that we have limitations, and I'm too tired to feel compassion for all those people today, but I'm going to feel compassion for one person. I'm going to be kind to one person today on the subway when I don't really feel like it. I'm going to go, you know what? Please go ahead. I don't need to go ahead. You go ahead.
Little things. You can feel compassion towards an insect today. How about that? Towards a tree. You can plant a tree to be the source of nourishment, food for generations of beings of all kinds of species, right? It can be a new home for birds. It will feed insects. It will feed other animals. And we're eating today fruits that someone planted long ago. So I think even it is our responsibility to think of the sources of food for generations to come. As I said, of different beings. It's really an important issue for me, paying the debt towards Mother Earth. And being really, as I said, mindful about wasting, mindful about, how do I take care of other beings, of other species? How do I treat them with the same compassion? And how do I think other species have completely lost trust in humankind. And I think this is something that it will get back at us sooner or later, if it's not happening already. It's a huge, 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 you know, how would you call it? Breach that happened between us as species and other species on this planet. Do you agree?
I do.
We're killing so many beings. You and I, we belong to this species that is killing millions of other beings who, as I said, have the same right to live on this planet as you and I do. So you and I both individually are in debt. I mean, we have to pay back for this. So how can we, as two individuals of humankind, try to make these wounds lesser to other species, and how can we make them hurt less? I mentioned an insect. It's the same, you know, feeding. Sometimes I take out sugar, and my truck, not the truck, the trunk of my car, right? Is that the word?
Yeah.
Is full of all kinds of seeds. Wherever I stop, I see birds. I give them different seeds. So my car is never without some food for birds. It's just so important for me to feed the beings of water, beings of the sky, you know. And I think even just thinking about it is a huge thing, because not many humans are probably even thinking about it. You know, I never thought about it before. I don't know how. I just completely unconsciously existed in the same space with all these species that I never even thought about. They too have to eat something. They too have mothers, and they're sentient beings. So hello, what am I doing as an individual in this environment surrounded by all these beings? I cannot be as unconscious as I was before.
At least we can say hello to a bird that flies up to us. Even if we don't have some seeds on us, we could at least say hi. I mean, if we see that we're part of a web of life, that's probably the best way forward. I agree. Awesome.
Yeah, we have to. It's a very important thing. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
think you're now waiting for me to say, oh yeah, I really have to go. I really have to go. The dog is silent. The dog is sleeping. I have enough time to say goodbye to you to conclude this conversation. I guess we did not speak about Kailash too much. We can do that again some other time. I'll be going to Mahakumbh Mela in February in India in few months only, and it will surely be another interesting topic to talk about. It's the biggest gathering of people on the planet, with hundreds, not millions, hundreds of millions of people in the same place, taking a dip in the confluence of three holy waters, Ganges, Saraswati, and Yamuna. And supposedly, taking a dip at that very spot cleanses so much of your karma and cleanses your ancestors. So I'm going as a humble representative of my ancestors to take a dip at this place in a festival that repeats only every 144 years. So the only time in our lifetime. And I'm very, very excited about it, and I'll be happy to tell you about it when I come back in March. Sounds good? Did you see my video? I sent you a video about it.
Yeah, I watched the video before this, and I was about to jump in and fill in the little details of behind what you were saying, but then you did that yourself. So
Yeah.
so you're a woman of grand adventure, and you're also concentrating on the smallest thing. So you have these huge adventures you take to India and doing these amazing things, and then you're also saying hello to a cricket or an ant or a bird or whatever. And this is fantastic. And you're centered in yourself, you know who you are, and you have some really good wisdom for us. So I appreciate your wisdom. I appreciate that you, even though you were tired today after working so hard and doing so many things, that you came on the show. Thank you. Now it's time for you to take your dog for a walk.
Yeah, and I humbly thank you for your invitation and look forward to sharing more with you in the future.
Yay.
Yay! Ciao!
Nice to talk to you. And if people want to say hello to you on the internets, they can go to asja.ba.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Is that
that's
okay?
probably the best place. Yeah,
Is that the
the
best?
best place to find a connection to all the channels.
Yay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love from Bosnia.
Hello from Texas.
Ciao.
Bye.